That took absolutely no time at all. Hi, Bo. Were you literally just sitting and waiting and... Were you literally just sitting and waiting in one of the channels? Hey, Grim! Waiting for something to go off? No, but I saw the notification on Twitch. Hey, yo, it's finally doing its job.
Woo!
Love to see it. We love to see it. Every time I adjust this darn thing, it looks wrong. Nudge. I said, I'm just gonna nudge it this way. Someone say something in chat real quick. Good work.
Pinya, pinya. Anyway,
I'll fiddle with that later. Hello, everybody. That looks good. That looks good.
Thanks, Grim.
So if anybody who's been watching my channel, they would have seen last year around October. They would have seen the post-con breakdown video that we did, where we talked about our experience at SumiCon and our, you know, just our thoughts about how things went, how it was. In case anybody, are you guys still at the con? No, we're not. The con ended yesterday, and I was beyond dog tired yesterday.
We both were.
And we would have recorded it then, so it was a little fresher on our minds, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, well, we also stayed a little longer because we had met some friends. And
yes.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead, start from the top. Where did we go and what did we do? Where was it? How was it? We went to AnimeVerse Fest in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
This is the first time I've ever been. I'm assuming it's an established con.
It's similar to SumiCon. They have like one in Houston, Dallas. I think there's one in New York. I mean, it's a con that travels, and it's never. It usually is in one of the bigger venues, from what I've gathered. I think if you check the actual AnimeVerse Fest website, it'll give you the different cities that it actually starts in.
Yeah. So this one was in Houston in the Energy Stadium.
Energy Event Center.
The Energy Event Center. Huge place, by the way. It wasn't even hosting just the con. It was hosting like 3 other events.
At the like, 4 other events.
This place was enormous. Like it was one of the few times where I've walked towards a building and I realized how small I was due to how big it was. Just it not moving in the distance. It was so big.
It's like, I'm actually familiar with that area. There have been several conventions that I've been to at that particular arena, and that place has grown exponentially since the last time I was there. I think it was back in like 2016 or 2017 was the last time I was there for a different convention. And at the time that convention was going on, they were hosting graduations in the stadium next door. All of the high schools in Houston that are 6A and above graduate in Reliance Stadium, which is right next door to the event center.
Yeah, so
it's
pretty big.
A big complex. It's also where they host the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Yeah. So they were also getting ready for that. You could see a half-made Ferris wheel in the front.
Yeah. That being said, the entire con was on one single floor.
Yes.
One large area. You actually was able to find the tickets pretty well in advance for a decent price.
Yes. So I ended up doing a little digging, and we got really super lucky. A couple weeks before the con was going to happen, I like to look around for coupons and things, and I happened about one on Groupon.
Not sponsored. Sponsors,
Not sponsored.
Please.
Yes, please. But it was basically we got our tickets half price, which was amazing.
That being said, full price tickets, how do you think it would have compared, considering what we got? Because we got the Saturday and Sunday, and we'll get into that later. But for that price, what's your opinion?
For the price we paid?
No, in general. If we wouldn't have found a deal.
If we wouldn't have found a deal, in my opinion, it was not worth the price tag. It was worth what we actually paid for it, to be honest. It was a smaller convention than I anticipated for that big of an arena. Yeah. They had dumbed it down quite a bit.
Yeah.
And while I think because they put it here instead of someplace like the George R. Brown, which has so much more open space and so many more floors, I think it was a little cramped.
I can
for
see
that amount of people going.
There was certainly a lot of people there, and there was so many people like occupying everything that you could lean against.
It really was.
There were like 5 peoples at every pillar. At every wall that didn't have like a stall or a kiosk, people were leaning up against it. Even the little partition they had set up for the video game tournament, people were just half leaning against it, and that was just fabric.
Yeah.
So cramped is a very good way of putting it.
If they'd had a more open space, and I think if they'd had more space for tables for people to just sit,
it was elbow to elbow.
It really was. No matter where you walked, it was like
trying to swim upstream.
Exactly. I felt like a dang salmon half the time trying to cross. It was like Houston traffic.
Pretty much.
Spaghetti noodles.
Pretty much. Like, half the time, I had to keep a hand on her shoulder, and she just had to charge ahead, because otherwise we just end up getting, like, separated from one another.
Yeah.
And it was...
Oh, thanks, Sniper!
Thank you, Sniper, for the prime. Much appreciated. But yeah, content-wise, okay, so there was a lot of high value voice actors there.
There really were.
There was Colleen Clinkenbeard, which is Riza Hawkeye, Luffy, and a myriad of other characters. That was the main reason why I went, was so I could get, something signed by her. I'm a huge One Piece fan, and also a veteran voice actor in the company who's been with it since, for a very long time. So that's the reason why I went. But there was also Jonathan Bosch, there was Dante Bosco.
There's several cast members from Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss, including Brandon Rogers.
There were 2 Power Rangers there.
Oh yeah, there were.
I think, was Troy Baker there?
Yes, he
Troy
was.
Baker was there.
He had his own panel.
I think I don't watch Dragon Ball Z, so you can't hold this against me. Tom Sabat? I forget. But anyway,
I don't
that
how
voice.
He said it. What did he say?
We really need to read the script over here, not reading. Hey, Cajun. But yeah, like, there was a lot of high-profile voice actors there. And I slide aside, I will say that for the price of like merch and a photograph and like an autograph and all that jazz, I think it was fair. Like, it was the person I went to see.
The prices for the autographs and photos and things were very fair. It wasn't overpriced. It was a really good price. Plus, most of the actors actually would take time and talk to you. There's a huge line behind you, but they're going to spend their little 5-minute spiel with you, and they're not. And it doesn't. They don't.
And
make
they
you
didn't feel
rushed.
Yeah, and that was another big thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're ever sourcing your north, favorite voice actor all the time. Nice.
Okay,
yeah.
So I love Nolan.
Nolan's good. Nolan is very good.
Remind me to tell you my story about Nolan, Bo, but not right now.
Other than that, again, it kind of comes down to how cramped everything was. They had everybody crisscross snaking back and forth in line, and half the time you couldn't tell where the line started, where it ended, whether you were in this line for this person or this line for another. I won't say it was terrible, except for one moment. Because, and I'm not going to say who it was, but every time we went by, we never saw them at the table, and that line was just constantly getting bigger. And those people had been standing there for hours, and I'm pretty sure they were never there. So, and again, sure, they're busy. I know they're busy. I know who they are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because it was so cramped, I could definitely see that a lot of people were suffering fatigue from that point.
Yes. So that was another thing, is there was not much in the way of food vendors. They had the one food vendor for the convention that was part of the NRG food stalls.
They had the pizza place and like 2 others, and that was about it.
Yeah, they allowed in, I think it was the pizza, there was a chicken place, and there was a barbecue place.
Yeah,
but they
and I think that was a local thing.
Yeah, they actually had a booth at the con to sell like jerky and other things. But then they had a couple of food trucks outside. But
that was still a walk to get to.
Yes.
Because it wasn't just, they're outside the con. No, they're outside the building, outside the parking lot. It was
they were in like a big
like
circle drive outside. But that's where all the seating was too.
True.
But a lot of people had to go and sit outside just to get a seat. Yeah. There weren't enough tables inside for the amount of people that were buying tickets.
And constantly coming in, too. Like, that line, because we left around 1 or 2, something like that. And even at that point, people were still coming in, and the line was still long.
Yeah, we parked at 9:30 that morning. The con didn't open until 10. By the time we found a parking spot, and mind you, we were like 2 minutes up the road. But if we were to walk, we could have been there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But we took our car. We had to pay to park. That's another thing.
That quick aside, I was expecting like $10, $15, maybe $50. It was $22 to just drive in. It wasn't and park somewhere.
That's $22 with tax.
With tax, and that would have been per day.
Per day. Yeah, I know. It's a weird specific number, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you had to pay to park. Then once you got in, there was so many people waiting.
Yep.
I will applaud them for this. They had that blue painter's tape, and they were adjusting and fixing the little snake lines on the floor so that everybody would get in, and we could all... Yeah, we were kind of sardined a little bit, but it was as organized as they could have done.
Yeah.
I really applaud the crew and the volunteers who worked there. They did a really good job with all of that.
Yeah.
Hi, Reaper!
Hey, Reaper. Other than that, let's get into content. There was a few events. Like, we didn't go to the Friday day. We didn't go to the Friday, but we did go to the Saturday. There were a few events there. Most of it was like the Mario Kart thing.
Okay, so they had a Mario Kart tournament, a Tekken tournament, and a Mario Party tournament.
And that was just what we saw.
That was just on Saturday.
And again, we left around 1. It would have went on to like 6.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That feels just kind of like a last thrown together idea. Like, they would have had all the pods for all the games, but with everybody else there who was there, and there was only like the big events were only like on Sunday. Like, there wasn't another big event. Like,
there were a few on Saturday.
Yeah,
for the panels.
But again, it was up on a stage. It wasn't set off to another area, and like.
Unfortunately, Bo, when we got there, they were so packed in there. There was no way we could have gotten in.
Yeah.
Not to the gaming section. There were people who signed up online ahead of time. So that was something you could go in and play. Yeah, we didn't. That was something we could have gone in and just played for a bit. But yeah.
Even in where all the area where the games were, even that was cramped.
It was so cramped.
Remember, otherwise they couldn't let Ari jump Q. Ha ha.
AI would have taken over.
Anyway, the rest of it, and I don't mean anything about like the content that was there, like voice actors aside. All of the vendors, and this isn't anything towards the vendors, it is more towards who they allowed in and who signed up. felt very samey. Like there was like, I could probably count like 2 or 3 unique things there. One was a very smart idea of doing cosplay photography in green screen and printing out photos. We actually got one of them, and it was a 3D photo. And that was super smart. Then there was, actually, now that I think about it, most of the stuff that was unique was photography. Because they had one of the capsule core pods, like in like an actual life-size version of it where you could go in, you get pictures with it, and then like all on the back walls, there was like at least a dozen different setups for photo op options, and not with anybody, just if you had cosplay and you want a cool background, and like that was cool. But everything else, it was the same pops, same, like we'd seen several of the same vendors at previous cons before, same people selling their collections of cards or figures or different stuff, same weapons, same guns, same swords. Yeah. Like there was nothing that really stood out. Like not even any branded stuff.
Like, no offense to the people who do get some of these, but most of these they look like little pop-up Amazon bought like storefronts.
Exactly.
And all of them look the same. The only difference was their color and maybe one or two things for their sign if they used a different font. It's just same thing, different font, all over.
Yeah, it felt, that's a perfect way of putting it. It felt extremely Amazon. Yes. Like people just bought stock and then got a fold-out table and went there. And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not blaming anybody who does that. If that's how you make your money, sure. But maybe when you're doing a con called AnimeVerse Festival, Anime Universe Festival, maybe do a little bit more than just push merch. That is the same stuff that people, because a couple of things that we bought, none of it was super unique. Like except for maybe some of the stickers. I looked up afterwards, the metal engraved cards and the gold banknote, you could buy those online from somewhere else. So they just bought it from someone else and then they're just reselling it, not as a affiliate, but just as their own merch front.
Yeah.
Like the only other place I could think, there was one where you got your witch's hat.
Yes. So they actually have a booth at the Texas Ren Fest.
Yeah.
I got to talk to them for a good while. Artie was buying I was trying to get cards for someone. Yeah, we finally found that. But I got to talk to them for a good while. That was the only clothing merchant that was selling anything that was actually handmade and not like screen printed, which was like odd to me because even there wasn't anyone even selling like costumes.
Yeah,
like I used to see a whole bunch of different places that would be selling costumes or some kind of even an Asian style shirt or dress or kimono. I didn't see any of that.
And honestly, and this is a pretty big con compared to a lot of others. I saw more uniqueness and individuality in Sci-Fi-Con. And that isn't knocking Sci-Fi-Con. Sci-Fi-Con is doing really good for itself, but I saw so much more individuality. I saw so much for like people who were doing stuff because they were trying to make it or they were just wanting to do good. Nobody was 3D printing that I saw. There was no cosplay. That was another thing. There was no cosplay repair station.
Yes, there were several people who were complaining about that.
Yeah.
There was not even a volunteer or just some rando coming in and doing it, which is like, I think maybe next time that's what I should do.
Yeah, if there is a next time for this one, to be perfectly honest.
Well, maybe not this one, but a future convention.
Yeah, like it's definitely an idea to have that in the back pocket. But yeah, food. To touch on that again, expensive for no dang reason. I could have gotten it cheaper if I'd gone down the street to the Burger King. We spent $32 on 2 burgers, a smattering of fries, and a single bottle of water.
You're so funny, Belle. Anyway.
But, like, that's what I mean. Like, very... Like, there was nothing on the burger whatsoever other than cheese.
Yeah,
and they called it like a
419
burger or something. No, it was literally just a dry cheeseburger with nothing.
Oh, that was just because that was the area code.
I know, but you don't just call it like you get what I'm saying.
It was the 713 burger.
Sure, whatever.
For the 713 area code for that's.
Point being, it was a dumb, overpriced burger for what we got.
Yeah, it was.
And there was no drink stations hardly anywhere. Like, you had to walk to the clear other side to find anywhere where there's water.
Yeah, the only place that you could buy drinks was... Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that was what it is. Anyway, the, what was it? They had 2 or 3 places where you could get fountain drinks, and then 2 places that were just handing out actual canned and bottled drinks. And these guys were just 2 vendors set up next to the front door.
Yeah.
One guy had the regular drinks and water, the other guy had alcohol. So
yeah, so again, like, I'm just kind of feeling like, and I'm sure it's not like this everywhere, but this one, the overall con felt very cookie cutter.
yeah.
But that's not even the right word. It felt like an afterthought. A lot of stuff felt like an afterthought. Like, there wasn't a lot of cohesion. There was definitely no MC. Like, there was definitely no one coordinating stuff.
At least not outwardly. I'm sure there were some people working behind the scenes.
Sure, again,
visually,
the employees and the volunteers worked their butts off, and we applaud them. Mm-hmm. But the overall experience, I kind of felt meh about. Especially, like you said, if we'd end up paying full price, I probably have a lot stronger feelings about all this.
Yeah.
All in all, everything being equal, we ended up not going back Sunday because we were thinking about it, only literally just to walk in, grab something, and walk out. You could have because everything felt samey and it was very claustrophobic. You could get it done in a half of a day. Like, we left around 1:30, and we would have left sooner if we weren't waiting us to meet up with somebody else.
I thought we left later than that, but I could be wrong.
No, it was like
2 or 3.
No, that was like it was like just after 1, like between 1 and 2, whenever we met them, and then we left. Like, and then we just crashed.
Maybe that's why I was tired. I didn't remember what time it was. It felt like we were there a lot longer than that, though, because there was just so much to see. There was,
but at the same time, there was a lot of walking involved. There wasn't necessarily a lot to see because, again, it felt weird, especially with there not being any like partitioned off areas for like actual like panels and stuff. It was all out in the open in the same place.
Yes.
And
they had 2 areas. One was a very tiny stage, which looked like a little karaoke stage.
Yeah.
And that's where they did their little cosplay meetups for everybody dressed in the same costume to take photos.
Yeah.
That was also in that same corner with all of the photo areas.
Yeah.
And then the other main stage, quotation marks, had like a big screen and some lighting and a table.
I think that was for the
it.
tournaments.
No. That was what they considered the main stage.
No kidding.
And it had about 20 rows of seats, about 20 people deep, wide, or whatever. They underestimated how many people were going to be at this convention.
Which is weird in the year of our Lord 2025. You would think you'd be able to have a pretty good pulse on, hey, this super popular IP is coming to this convention. We're just going to put 200 seats.
Yeah. It just... I feel like AnimeVerse Fest, and even we hyped it up thinking it was going to be a big deal.
And there was a ton of people there. Like, make no mistake, it wasn't like a piddly little con that it turned out to be. It was still pretty dang big. It was just not well coordinated, especially compared to SumiCon. Because those people, you had people like checking on people all the time. You had checkpoints to make sure everybody was clear. I never got tagged once if I was supposed to be there. Outside of walking in, and as far as their bag check, guy like looked in with a stick and was like, "Yeah, you're good to go." Like, Didn't check any of the pockets, didn't empty it, didn't nothing.
Yeah, that was one thing it was a little odd. SumiCon, they had me, because I don't know if you guys had seen in any of the previous, I thought I took a picture of it, but I'd made a trapper keeper that kind of looked like a spell book. So I had it all dolled up and everything. And I took that with me this time.
Yeah.
I didn't cosplay because it was just hot and huggy. And but anyway, I go to SumiCon and they had me lay it down, open it up, look in every pocket, and
they checked everything.
These were just two dudes at the front end, checked everything.
Yeah, and this was whether you're going in or whether you're going out. Every time you came back in, even if you went out for like 5 minutes, they're like, hey, we got to check again.
Aww.
And you didn't need a cosplay, you're going already. Yeah.
I always add my little witchy outfit, but this time I wasn't feeling it. It was too hot. But anyway, we go up to, when we finally get through the long line to get in, I hold up my bag and go to unzip it. He's like, nah, don't worry about it. Okay. Literally just looks at me, nah, don't worry about it, go.
Okay, I'll just smuggle this large pizza and watermelon-sized flask of ale. Like, come on, like, you seriously, like, I get that you're in a rush, but bag checks are important for a reason.
Yeah, that was a little...
That was concerning.
They were checking maybe every 2 or 3, and it was only the bags that were, like, tote bag sized. Yeah. Or, like, some people brought, like, gym bags.
Yeah.
I don't... They were only checking those kind of bags, which was really odd.
Yeah, and while I understand don't start stuff in Texas, at the same time, we're in Houston where a whole lot of crazy likes to say this is where I sleep at night.
Mrs.
Hey, Mrs. Nah, who needs to check a bag when you carry small adults out in your arms and no one has it? Yeah, that's spookums. Anyway.
Pretty much.
And I think we saw like 2 actual security guards.
I'm sure they had some plain clothes, but 2 cops that were actually in full gear.
Yeah, so. And they were just at the front doors as far as I saw. Hashtag that actually happened. I believe it. I heard it. Anyway.
Oh yes, I just hydrated. You're welcome. Granted, it was Dr. Pepper, so.
What else was there? I mean, that pretty much was the con in general. And again, we were thinking about going back the second day. Really just chose not to, even though we already... And that's the thing. We'd already paid for 2 tickets to go Sunday.
It was a 2-day.
And we just said nah.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
I mean, it was basically a glorified market. Once you went through and saw all the people you were going to see, went to the panels you were going to see, which they really weren't... You couldn't hear anything, for one thing, because you're in a giant concrete warehouse. And even if they had the microphones up there, their speakers were not loud enough.
No.
Yeah, glorified market. I'm being brutal on this one, for real.
Yeah.
This one was... It was a money pit. It was an average expensive experience.
Like, out of 5, I would say a 3, and that is being
generous.
kind.
That's being generous.
That's being kind. On the other hand, we were able to meet a friend of ours.
Yes.
Had recently made friends with someone through TikTok and through Twitch. Kawaii Blue, if she ends up seeing this, hi. It was so thrilling to actually meet you and know that you're a real person. But they ended up, her and her boyfriend, yes, boyfriend, shows you how much I know. I don't ask any questions ever.
I don't know. Y'all talked a lot. You and him hit it off.
It was great. But they were coming in right as we were running out of gas for the day.
Pretty much.
And we got to say hi, took some photos. It was great. And then afterwards, they're like, hey, I said, hey, do you want to maybe hang out? Because we're here for the rest of the day. Don't have any other plans. Like, sure, how about we go and hang out at this place? And they took us to this wonderful little Korean barbecue place called Soju 101.
Soju 101.
And, oh my God, the food was immaculate. and just that whole little section of place. There was there was easily like 2 or 3 dozen little shops for food, for snacks, for what have you. That was just amazing. I literally could probably spend months there. I'd still not even get close to hitting everything that it had to offer. We went to a crepe and waffle shop afterwards.
Japanese crepe and waffle shop. That was so good.
It was really, really, really good. And again, just had a great, and honestly, I'd say the cost of the trip getting up there and what we ended up buying was worth the cost just to get to hang out. And because I had so much more fun just sitting and talking with them, eating good food, walking around the little area, and just kind of like, hey, so what are we doing tomorrow? Do you want to hang out? Do you want to do something? It was great. So
it was a good end to that whole day. It
was a wonderful end to the day. We chose to hang out with them the next day instead of going back to the con. I played Beyblades for the first time.
Like IRL Beyblades.
I have never bayed a blade before in my life, and it was a lot of fun. We met at a really good card game shop at the Alameda Mall.
Alameda Mall. That would be in southern Houston.
Yeah, but it was a great time, honestly. Hanging out with them really was the high note. Outside of me meeting Luffy, that was the high note. And it was just a great time, honestly, and I really do look forward to going hanging out with them again, because
for sure,
give me an excuse to drive to Houston to eat good Korean barbecue. I don't need one. You could say, hey, Artie, I'm already in the car. I'm in the car, I'm ordering, take me to Dim Sum Paradise, let's go. But yeah, that was pretty much it for our overall experience. Saw some good cosplayers, took some good pictures, so people liked my outfit. Funny thing about the mic, it wasn't quite perfect. I'm not sure why. I think it was a proximity thing.
Well, okay, so with the way the mic was working, you had it, I guess, on your hip. And sometimes you would put your hand there, or the coat would cover it up.
Yeah.
And because it's down at your hip, I think the speaker itself is a little more directional.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it might be better to find a way to mount it or hang it from your neck or in some way.
But other than that,
whoever you're talking to, they get that directional speaker.
Yeah. Other than that, the con experience, the people were fine.
Really bad?
So, yes, it was user error. Absolutely.
It was trial and error. We tried and we errored, so now we fix.
But yeah, I can definitely say, kind of like as a closing note, the vibe, and it may have just been because it was more a open market. Now that I think about it was probably because it was more of an open market con and not an actual big con. But okay, bye. Have a Kawaii Blue. There she is. Okay, good night, Mrs. Bye. Hi. We were just talking about you. Hello. But yeah, like because it felt like more of like a market con and less a actual convention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The vibe was not there. The vibe was very mid. I had so much more fun at SumiCon. I don't know if it's because of that or if it's because it was all bets are off, all children are there, and there's a lot of screaming going on.
Yeah, I will say this. I think part of the reason there were so many children there, though, they had a couple of the voice actors from the Bluey TV show. I think they had the voice of the mom and the dad there. And so there was a good chunk of people who brought their kids just for that. And there was a lot more kids there than usual.
But even then, well, I mean, take a look at what happened with the local con here at the Ford Stadium. Like, that was just a glorified drop-off for kids for the week.
Yeah, there weren't as many adults at that convention as there were teens. And parents were using it as a teenage daycare. They would drop their kids off. The kids would run out of food. And run out of food. They run out of money really quickly and then just run around screaming. And
being underfoot. So maybe a little column B, little column A. Both. It was more con, less convention, and there was just a lot more kids in general.
Oh,
and
sorry, Blue. I was talking about the one we had here in where we are.
Yeah.
The one at the Ford Center it was more kids than adults. And yes, I will say there were a lot more adults at this one, but there were quite a few more kids than would normally have been there, I think, because of the Bluey actors.
So moving forward, I do think it'll probably affect our cons in the future. Definitely, I'm definitely gonna do more research on the conventions beforehand. Like, what were they like? Were they here before? What was the experience like then? Can I find anybody who's talked about it or did vlogs about it? Like, try to do a bit more research on that, because I don't know. I mean, maybe in the future, if it's just one of those, we happen to be around and, oh, hey, this is going on, maybe go to AnimeVerse Fest in the future if it is local and it is not an imposition. Other than that, maybe not.
That would probably, future. That is a one-day con.
Absolutely.
You pick which day you're going to go based on the programming, what panels you want to see, actors that are going to be there, and then just plan accordingly.
Yeah. Future cons, we definitely still have CypherCon coming up. That's hopefully we get to go to that one.
Yes.
That
will also be just a one-day con.
Yes. But specifically for that one, there's some people who I know are going to be there that I look forward to going to see there.
We always do.
And this time we'll actually be goers instead of
vendors.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting.
No, CypherCon in Lake Charles. That is my hometown con. I have been going since their third year. I want to say when the Lake Charles Civic Center was still called the Lake Charles Civic Center and not the Lake Area Event Center that it is now. Poor thing got hit by so many hurricanes.
Okay. Anime Matsuri is in July in Houston at the George R. Brown Convention Center. So
that's a bigger con.
It is a much bigger con. It's one of those things we would have to plan, because if possible, we're definitely going to SumiCon again this year.
Yes.
Especially if they have more VTuber focused stuff. And that's something else that I figured out. VTuber Land was a sub-event of SumiCon, and that was the main reason why we went to SumiCon, was because it had that, and that's more what we wanted. We want to find more specialized stuff, like specifically also I want to find more stuff that's like for card games and board games, because we have that game that we're designing. I would love to have a place that I could show it potentially. And I don't think that AnimeVerse would be that one. I don't think that SumiCon would be that one. I could see CypherCon maybe, but that's because CypherCon has a game room. So
yeah, CypherCon has a game-specific area.
Oh yes, please send me the list of cons to do the thing. I would love that. That would be great.
Yes, we much appreciate.
Because between the two of us, it's some sort of an inverse polarity thing. We are bad at finding this stuff out on time.
Yeah, we usually find out like the weekend before.
Yeah.
And we can't plan anything. We're horrible about this. Unless it's one that I've been to many, many, many times in the past, like Cypher.
Yeah.
Cypher is like near and dear to my heart. I love them.
Yeah, and but like the one that we were supposed to go to, but life got in the way. The one at Round Rock, like that one had VTuber specific stuff. Their placard in the mall had
Sayu supposed to be
Sayu was there.
Oh, man.
Sayu was there. User honest time engaged. That's fine. But yeah, that was our overall experience. What would you give AnimeVerse Fest overall, taking into account everything? I think price, I'm giving it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, price was really too high for what you got. Comparatively we paid about the same. We would have paid about the same price if we'd gotten the tickets, you know, or the actual price instead of the discounted ones we did accidentally happen upon.
Yeah.
We paid the same amount to go to SumiCon.
Yeah.
And there was so much more to SumiCon than this big giant
cookie cutter corporate Amazon shill.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that, but that's what it felt like.
That's what it felt like.
And the rating of the price does include parking.
Yes.
And the trouble trying to get out there.
That is the only convention besides the ones that happen at George R. Brown, like Anime Matsuri, Comic Palooza, that you have to pay to park there. Even sometimes when you're at the hotels downtown, if you stay at the host hotel, you're gonna have to pay to park even at the hotel.
Yeah.
And now, granted, I will say this: the prices to park downtown are a lot cheaper than the NRG.
Yeah. So overall price, overall amenities, as far as merchant stalls, you know, stuff to buy. Again, probably a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I would give it a 3, mainly because they didn't allow a lot of the booths to group up that looked the same. They spread them out a little bit. They did at least attempt to make it look a little more organized than it was. I give them a 3.
Okay, that's fine. The guest list, I'll give that like a 4.
That was definitely a 4 for me.
It was
a great guest
honestly
list.
It would have been a 5 if it wasn't so mismanaged in terms of getting to see the person.
Yes.
Because that's a big detractor from it. It was so confusing and hard to just get to the person, and you're not standing in a line, you're standing in a zigzag. And whenever you're already elbow to elbow with people, that's not very good for business.
Yeah.
Overall vibe, give it about a 3.
Yeah, to me it was kind of a meh con compared to the ones we've been to before.
There was no excitement.
Yeah.
At all, which is weird considering who they had there.
Yeah.
Like, there was no excitement from the people. There was no excitement for the groups. There was no...
I will say that there was some excitement once you got up there to see the person you were there to see. Once you were there to got to the celebrities finally. But as soon as you got out of that line, you're just trudging.
Yeah.
Everybody's just trudging through like little salmon.
Yeah.
Or like ants in an anthill line. You know, it's.
I will say, as far as it was very crowded, but I will say, as far as the crowd, because that is definitely another point for it, the crowd was good. They weren't angry, they weren't mean. Everybody was very polite. Sitting down in places, everyone just kind of respected everybody. So I do appreciate that. Nobody at the con was rude. Nobody at the con was like trying to rush anybody. So that was good. I will give the overall feel of the people and the workers there, that was definitely a 5.
Everybody was
very kind and very considerate, and that meant a whole lot. They did stage thing with the VAs. Oh, well, that's unfortunate that we missed that, because...
Well, the problem for me was, Blue, you almost couldn't, unless you were sitting like right in the first couple of rows up there, you couldn't hear anything because there was just so much ambient noise everywhere. I have a hard time hearing when there's so much going on around me. I have a hard time focusing, and unless I have like earbuds in to be able to hear, I can't focus, and I can't enjoy it, to me.
Yeah, and for me, and granted the energy might have been there, but whenever you have just an extremely tall ceiling and
nothing but concrete
to
absorb all that sound,
it's hard, at least for me, it's hard for me to hear over the crowd. And the crowd, just ambient talking, is just going to cause that constant echo chamber.
Yeah.
So I am sad that we missed out on the stuff there, but I think if I would have tried to have sat through it, I probably would have had less of a good time because I wouldn't have been able to hear it properly. I would have been straining to hear, and I wouldn't have been in the moment. Not like it was at SumiCon where there was like a separate room for different panels and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was controlled, and you could actually, even though it was loud, you could still hear stuff.
There was so many people. I want to say there wasn't quite as many, I don't think, at SumiCon, mostly because it is an adult only con.
Yeah.
Comparatively. But I want to say the organization was a lot better than than what they did at AnimeVerse for the amount of space they had. And because SumiCon was split to like 4 different areas inside a hotel versus AnimeVerse is all in one big square.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
So overall, given that it was still very pleasant with the people, and the workers were good, and the cast list was good, I'd say overall AnimeVerse is a strong 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
But
Hey Doc.
Hey Doc. But it is pulling a lot of weight.
I agree, Blue. If they would have chosen a different area or a different portion of it, I want to say when they did, it was a different convention that I went to that was there. That convention had so much more space.
Yeah. And
was so much better organized the way they set it up. I wish they would have done what that other convention did, and it would have done right.
I do think they couldn't, though,
yes.
because of the rodeo. Also, thank you, Anonymous, for giving Kawaii Blue a tier 1 sub. Thank you very much for that, Anonymous. Blue, enjoy your ad-free viewing, your very funny-looking emotes.
I do love your emotes. They're amazing.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up now. Keep an eye out. This will be put up on the channel, hopefully without too much time being done. And we will be getting back to our regularly scheduled couple streams where we actively... Why? Thank you for the 50 bits. Much appreciated. Let me end this quickly before they do something else.
Oh no!
Check us out on all our socials. I'm Marty AI everywhere. She doesn't have anything on Twitter, but she is Lillith Nightshade on Twitch. And yeah, we'll be seeing you guys soon. The couple streams will be coming back. We've already figured out what you will be playing, so we gotta get that set up. That will be Monday. Gosh dang it.
By the way, I believe it is the... which game was it?
It was going to be Doki Doki Literature Club.
Ah!
And I'm going to stop the recording here.